Hey everybody, it is Coach Tay. Today we're going to be discussing a sneaky little hormone that's probably causing your fat loss goals to plateau. And that sneaky little hormone is called cortisol, better known as the stress hormone. Today we're going to put it in plain English. What is cortisol? What happens when it's spiked? How do you know that you have high cortisol? And how can you regulate cortisol naturally? Y'all already know what time it is, so let's get into it. Cortisol, as you usually may hear, is the stress hormone. You're probably like, what does that even mean? So basically, cortisol is the hormone that is released from our adrenal glands when we are in a stressful situation. The purpose of cortisol is like our body's natural alarm system. So it's basically supposed to help us in bursts of stressful situations so that we can survive. Biologically, cortisol was meant to help with short bursts of stress. Before we were in this great modernized society, we used to be chased by saber-toothed tigers. So our stress would go up along with our adrenaline, and that would help us get away from the saber-toothed tiger. But when our cortisol is heightened for longer periods of time, it inevitably causes problems. Imagine you see a saber-toothed tiger and it wants to eat you. My goodness, this is my saber-toothed tiger. And you're like, saber-toothed tiger. All of the processes in your body are using energy. You need that energy to run away from the tiger. So what cortisol does is it shuts down the biological processes in your body so that you can have the energy to run away from the threat, run away from the thing that's causing the stress, or have energy to fight or flight, basically. So we definitely needed cortisol biologically. What has happened now is the saber-toothed tiger has been replaced with work and making sure you make it to that birthday party, maybe societal norms and technology. All of these things cause the same amount of stress on our brains and bodies that the saber-toothed tiger used to. So we're not actually in imminent danger, but we're still having the biological processes as if we are. When our cortisol is heightened for a longer period of time, then the processes in our bodies are shut off. Our immune system takes up a lot of energy in our bodies. So what cortisol does is it shuts off your immune system, because it's like, what do you need an immune system for if you're running from a saber-toothed tiger? You don't need an immune system. You need to fight or flight. We'll worry about that immunity later. But now in our society, a lot of other things are causing cortisol to stay in an elevated state. And it tells our body that we don't need certain processes that our body does need because we are chronically stressed. We chronically are dealing with high amounts of stress when our body was biologically made to only deal with stress in spurts. Another thing that cortisol does is it raises your insulin levels. And we've already discussed how high insulin leads to fat storage mode, right? High cortisol equals low immune system, and it raises your insulin levels. And both of these things inevitably means that you are storing fat. And if you're storing fat, then you're not burning fat. And this is the main reason that high stress levels, high cortisol is actually causing you to hold on to fat rather than burning fat. All right, now let's get into what are the symptoms of high cortisol. When your cortisol is too high, then that is when you're going to be fat storing, usually around the midsection. Also, when your cortisol is too high, your blood sugar levels are going to rise. That is what causes your insulin levels to rise. Your estrogen, your progesterone is all going to crash. And you're also going to be breaking down your muscle. And remember, your body is doing all of this because your body thinks that it's running away from a saber-toothed tiger. And it's like, hold on to as much energy as possible. We're gonna need all the energy that we need, which is AKA fat, to run away from this tiger or to fight this tiger. And forget about building muscle. Forget about immunity. Forget about digestion. We don't need any of those processes right now. We're running from a tiger with long teeth. I hope you're starting to get the point. Cortisol really is just trying to protect us, but we are living in a society that induces high amounts of stress, which can be perceived as inhumane, but honestly, that's another discussion for another day. Now I want to let you guys know what your symptoms may be if your cortisol is spiked. Voila. Maybe you are feeling wired, but you're tired. So you are sleepy, but you can't go to sleep. Stubborn lower belly fat is first and foremost. Now, I'm not just talking about a little bloating because it's that time of the month. I'm talking about stubborn lower belly fat for months and months, especially if you're trying to lose fat, but you still aren't seeing results. Cravings are very salty or sweet. Again, if it's that time of the month, you're gonna have more cravings rather than not. But if it's a constant month to month, week to week cravings, that is a sign that your cortisol levels are spiked. Having feelings of anxiety or irritability or just emotional instability is a very telltale sign that your cortisol levels are high. But this is honestly pretty straightforward because if you're stressed out, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be a little emotionally unstable. And one of the last most common symptoms is that you get sick often or you're very inflamed. Now, I do understand that there are a lot of different things that can cause these symptoms, but as it relates specifically to cortisol, all of these symptoms together means that it is a very likely chance that you have high cortisol levels. And quite frankly, we all have high cortisol levels, if not have had high cortisol levels. And the real discussion is how to regulate it rather than if you're going to experience it or not. So let's go ahead and get into different ways that you can naturally regulate cortisol. All right, so I got good news and I got bad news. So the bad news is you're going to have to incorporate healthy habits that are going to last a lifetime so that you can live a regulated stress life for the rest of your life. But the good news is that you don't need any pills or potions to regulate your cortisol. So let's get into step 1, which I'll actually have probably already heard from me, which is to get some sunlight in the AM. Please and thank you. Get some sunlight. I'm not gonna bore you guys with the science talk, but basically when the sun hits your retina and your eye, it sets off all of these different biological functions in your brain and your body that gets your body ready for the day, wakes your body up for the day, but also regulates your cortisol levels. When you don't do that, and let's say you drink a cup of coffee instead of going to see the sun, you significantly have heightened cortisol levels rather than if you were to go outside to see the sun, get you a walk in, go ahead and get your 30 grams of protein and then drink your coffee. It's like night and day, the different effects that it has on your cortisol levels, which in turn means it's gonna have a different effect on your blood sugar levels, which in turn means it's gonna have a different effect on your insulin levels, which in turn means it's going to have a different effect on your fat loss goals. So if you wanna increase the effect on the fat loss goals, I would suggest going outside and looking at the sun. You get bonus points for getting a 10-minute walk in, and you get super duper bonus points for getting 40 grams of protein in that morning as well. Number 2 for regulating cortisol, which I basically already just said, which is walk regularly. Walking is so underrated, and I'm not even saying this for fat loss, even though this is on my fat loss checklist as well. But walking regularly helps with your stress levels, helps with your core, helps with breathing, and it also helps with your fat loss goals. So why not kill 2 birds in 1 stone? I mean, that sounds great to me. Does it sound great to you? So this is what you need to do. Go ahead and get you a walk-in times 2, maybe times 3 if you want to be like me. I like to go walking for about 15 minutes. Thought I was gonna rhyme at the end of that, but you get the point. I like to do like 3 15-minute walks a day, and I'll do a 15-minute cardio session after my workout. And ultimately, I would say an hour of cardio is enough a day, and you can split it up into walks or after your session. Some people can do 30 minutes after their workout session and do 2 15-minute walks. Whatever works best for you. I just highly suggest walking for not only cortisol, but also fat loss. Number 3 is go to sleep before midnight. Getting to bed before midnight if possible, pretty please, with a cherry on top, will be so astronomical for your cortisol levels, so astronomical for any insulin resistance that you may be dealing with, so astronomical for your fat loss goals and to lose that belly. Get to sleep really for 10 p.m., but at least before midnight. And I promise you, give it 30 days and you're gonna feel like a new person, and I'm sure you're going to lose some fat as well, especially if you've just reached a plateau. Number 4 is one that a lot of people try to blow off, I think, which is breathing intentionally. It's kind of like one of those things like meditation. And like I said, I just look at meditation as the art of being the master of your thoughts rather than your thoughts being the master of you. And the power of meditation is often underestimated. That's usually what I think people do with breathing. Like, the power of breathing is often underestimated, not only for cortisol levels, but for blood circulation, for cognitive function, and also for fat loss and for core. Everybody's trying to get their stomach flat for summer, and breathing really deeply and intentionally can get you there. What I like to start off with is a 3-4-5. And I also do this with my 5-year-old toddler. When he can't go to sleep at night, I'll have him breathe in for 3 seconds, hold his breath for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 5 seconds. That's the 3-4-5 method, and that's the method that I would consider you guys try to start breathing intentionally. And you can just start with 10 reps of it and go up to 20. So 10 to 20 reps. You can fit it into your schedule. You don't have to make it its own time for itself. You can overlap it with working out or reading a book, anything. I just highly suggest that as something that you can naturally do to relieve your stress levels and increase your fat loss. Last but certainly not least is eat real food. Real whole food, okay? A lot of things that can spike our cortisol levels is the awful processed food that tastes so good. It's so good and it's so fake. It's so fake and it's so good. Eating real food. And I'm a big 80-20 eater. Like, I will have my cinnamon roll. If you learn anything about me on this channel, you'll know that I'm addicted to cinnamon rolls. So I understand. But having an 80-20 of healthy foods is going to help with your health and longevity of life and just having a more peaceful, more sound, a less stressful life. Eating whole foods like protein, veggies, fiber, fats, fruits even, as long as it came from the earth, you're good to go. I would suggest 80% whole food, real food, 20% whatever you want, pig out. Some weeks will be 30, some weeks will be 40, maybe even 50. But if you can find your way back to an 80% healthy eating style, healthy, whole, real food, your stress levels will thank you, your fat loss goals will thank you, your health will thank you, and beyond. And a bonus to this that a lot of people don't think about is that you shouldn't be skipping meals. Now, I'm a firm believer in fasting and different type of fasting styles and different type of fasting schedules. I actually can create a personalized fasting schedule for you. If you're interested in that, you can go ahead and click the link in the bio and I can make a personalized plan for you. But I wouldn't suggest just skipping meals, like skipping breakfast, if you're not getting the adequate amount of nutrients every day. Now, it's one thing to skip lunch and say you had 60 grams of protein for breakfast and 30 grams of fiber, and then you had 70 grams of protein for dinner and 15 grams of fiber. So at that point, okay, it's okay that you skipped. But if you're having some crackers for breakfast and then you skip lunch and then you're having like a chicken salad at night, like that's not gonna cut it. That is actually keeping your cortisol levels high, which is going to lead to you holding on to more belly fat rather than losing it. And if you came here, you don't want the belly fat anymore. You don't want the muffin top. I already get it. So all in all, I'm saying if your body does not feel safe, then it won't let go of fat, period. That is how our body is biologically made. It thinks it needs that energy. It needs that fat. We're running from a saber-toothed tiger, and it's not going to let it go until it feels safe, until it feels like it's not under any type of stress where it's going to need that extra fat, that extra energy to survive. Also, if you don't know what direction to go in with what food you should be eating to keep your stress levels regulated, I've actually already created a 6-week plan for y'all with the meal plans in there, as well as a fasting schedule and the workouts that you'll need to succeed with fat loss and keeping your metabolism very high by regulating your hormones like cortisol and insulin. I have the full plan for you guys step by step in the link in my bio. And if you need even more help than the ebook, you can join my membership where I can support you along the way and we can troubleshoot any problems you may be having in your fat loss goals, and you'll be able to meet with me so you can pick my brain for all of your fat loss and hormone needs, and also have a great community to support you along your journey. I have an app included in my membership that is very comprehensive that'll walk you step by step through your workout routine if you need that support as well. And maybe you're not ready to join the membership and you want to purchase that ebook first. I'm actually including a coupon in the ebook for the membership that'll get the whole price of the ebook taken off of the membership. So go ahead and try the ebook if you'd like, and then if you figure out you need more support, you can use the coupon at the back of the ebook to join the membership. That's it for today's video, you guys. I enjoyed having you. And if you were interested in how I explained cortisol, you're going to love this video right here where I go into depth on insulin resistance and how insulin is the reason that you're probably storing extra belly fat. Also, if you decided to get the ebook, I would love to know what weight you're starting off at. Feel free to email me your pictures and your progress. I cannot wait to see you succeed in your journey. I'm excited for your fat loss goals. I'm excited for your health goals. And don't forget, I believe in you. Do you?